Where are we going?
Today we head off on a trip to Dangali Conservation Park via Morgan and via the Morgan Mail Road. It's been raining in Adelaide, so there is a level of concern about the track up there, but it appears that there hasn't been as much rain in Renmark, which is our only point of reference, that indicates that it could be okay. They've only had 3 mil up there. So we're going to have a go, and hopefully we'll be in Dangali by mid-afternoon, if not sooner. Here we go. Sandy and muddy, tripping in the Triton.
Let's roll.
That's right, the show on the road. We're about 5 kilometres out of Blanchetown, and it's still been a bit damp, but not as damp as it could have been. We're going to have a short break when we get there, but I think it's looking pretty good for Dangali. Hello, here we are at the beginning. This is really the beginning of where we're going. We've just gone through Morgan, which is just back there about 4 or 5 kilometres after a somewhat dubious breakfast, but we're here anyway. We hope to make it through the day. And this is the Bungunna Road turnoff, which leads to the Morgan Mail Road, which is not that well known. Not a lot of information about it, but there's a bit of history, and we'll keep moving along the road and stopping at some historical points along the way. It's a pretty smooth trip up, a little bit of rain, but the ground's pretty dry here, which is what we want. Go.
Yep, got it.
There was the first car we've seen for approximately an hour and a half. And we're on the Morgan Mail Road now. It's not too bad. It's been graded recently. Well, maybe a couple of weeks ago. But it's pretty good underneath. And we're making good time. We're sitting on 80 kilometres an hour, which is pretty good. And there's a little whoops. But all in all, it's looking pretty good out here. It's still threatening to rain, but I don't think we'll get much. Here we are, we finally made it to the Dangali Conservation Park. This is one of only 230 biospheres in the world, where it's like throwing a net over something and not letting anything in or out. So there'll be an abundance of wildlife, we're hoping. The road has deteriorated, which normally you'd expect in a national park or a park of this size anyway, and this remoteness. There's a couple of caravans behind us throwing up some dust that we managed to get around, but we're going to make our way to the Morganvale ruins now, and we'll show you around that. What's for lunch, Sandy?
Baked beans.
Oh, not again. Yeah. If you look carefully, you'll see how the walls have been built from split logs with other splits jammed in between two and then wired together. Rather remarkable, making do with things way out here. So the footage you've just seen is of the Morganvale homestead, or the old Morganvale homestead. It goes back quite a way. It was one of 3 properties that were acquired to create the Dangali Conservation Park, which covers about 2,300 square kilometres just north of Renmark. Hopefully we'll be able to get to the other 2 and show you a little glimpse of what they're about and the resilience of the people that came out here to try and make a living and perhaps a better life for themselves. We turned up yesterday and decided we were too excited to take any video last night. So this is about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's Saturday, and here we are in our site at Dangali Conservation Park. There hasn't been a single car, human, or anything actually, except some emus since about lunchtime yesterday. So as you can see, it's all quiet. And evidence of human activity is a fire pit, which is well used, and here's the morning sun warming us up. It's not real cold, but it is fresh. So this is campsite 5. There's 4 others, and you can book them all out for a really ridiculously low price.
Rolling.
Okay, hello, here we are in the Dangali Conservation Park. We were here last night, there's a couple of flies around, but we're dealing with them. We set up camp yesterday and we celebrated with steak and veggies, which cooked to perfection by mine host. We had a bit of a drama today. We have a 60 litre water bladder sitting behind the driver's seat, and one of the connections had come loose and we lost maybe half a litre in the car, so we had to drain it all out into the esky that carries our food, tighten everything up, and then put it all back together. But success was ours, and we're celebrating with beers and CC and Dry. That's Penny Marshall / Sandy Thong directing the proceedings. And we're going for a walk later. We were going to go earlier, but because there's no water out here, we thought fixing the bladder was imperative. We do have extra water. Never put all your eggs in one basket when you're travelling.
Good point.
Except we did that with a long-range fuel tank, so we pick and choose when we need all our eggs in one basket. So anyway, coming up next, a video of us walking and trying to look for something that's alive. All we found is a family of emus last night, and since then we've heard birds, but we believe there's speakers in the trees, and the national parks people are actually getting people out here. There's nothing here, but we'll let you know. We've just left the campsite and we're going for a bit of a wander up the track. As you can see here, the road sort of abruptly ends as a road. It just becomes a two-wheel track. Say hello, Penny.
Hi.
Sandy. I don't know, whatever your name is.
I go by anything really.
Ah,
Boy.
well done. And then it just becomes a track. Well, we're going to walk up here for a little while and see what we can find, which is probably about the same as where we are. Now, quite a few people have been asking us about our setup, and it seems to be a popular thing. What do you do? What have you got? How do you use it? How have you set it up? So we thought we'd give you a bit of a lap of our campsite. This is a typical setup. We'll start here with, we got 160 watt solar panels and 10 meters of extension, so we can always find some sunshine where we are. That's been working very effectively. Up here, our accommodation is a rooftop tent, which we won, and there's plenty of room in there, and it's solid, and it's the most comfortable one. We've had another one before, but this one, as far as room goes, takes the cake. It takes a little bit longer to set up, but we're happy with this. As we move around, so you can see the extension lead, it goes in the back here. We have a CTEK DC to DC charger, which has worked absolutely marvellously thanks to a well educated auto electrician who has done the job for us. Good on you, mate. We unplugged that because we've got the battery over here, 120 amp hour battery in a battery box that's currently running straight off the two solar panels. But we also have a solar panel on the roof, which we take when we're not using the big panels. If we're just going for a couple of nights, that gives us plenty of power, and then we plug that into the CTEK, because you can't have two voltage regulators running concurrently. We've got a 50 litre giant fridge, which has worked really well for had it probably about 4 years now, and it hasn't failed us. It gets really quite cold and it serves us well. That's the emergency repair kit for everything electrical, which we've got all kinds of bits and pieces. Our latest addition is a shower. Now this thing, when I first read about them, I thought that looks a bit suspect, but it works an absolute treat. You just drop the pump in some water. Now we both had showers today and we used 4 litres each. So we think we can get it down to less, but this is our first real trial with it. And you'd be surprised how hot the water gets. So that's that bit. You've seen the fridge, and then under here, shower water, but we've got a 60 litre bladder that sits behind the driver's seat. So that's the air, and then the tap is just here. Always remember to check your fittings, because we had a little bit of a problem with the outlet fitting, but it worked loose and we lost a little bit of water, but not too much. The kitchen is fairly simple. We like to keep it simple on camping trips. Don't want to work too hard. It's not a 4-star restaurant, it's a camping trip. And then LED lights at the front and at the back of the awning, and they're powered through the battery, and it's just a 12-volt cigarette plug type fitting, and that keeps us happy in our camping. So I hope you enjoyed the little lap of tripping in the Triton setup, and if you want, please feel free to comment of how after you've seen this or not. Now, a rare occurrence on this side of the camera, we have director Sandy Thong cooking up a storm. We're just going to have a look here what's going on. We've got some pasta, we've got some tomato and capers and I believe anchovies.
And chili.
And chili. So we're having, and what are we having tonight, Sandy?
Puttanesca.
Puttanesca.
Yeah.
And a nice glass of Pinot Grigio, perhaps?
Yeah.
Under the campsite, under the camp awning. The mosquitoes have been fairly active today, haven't they?
Strangely, yes.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of them. But it's quite a balmy evening now. There's a bit of cloud cover, as you can see. And we are the only ones here again. This has been magnificent. And we will be here again to further explore the Dungarly Conservation Park and Wilderness Protection Area in the future.
Could you please?
Well, good morning. It's Monday morning and we have to head home because we've got things to do, unfortunately. We've just left our campsite about 10 minutes ago and we're on what's called Nanya's Track, which is just a few kilometres away from our campsite, and we're heading to the old Hyperna homestead. As you can see, this track probably hasn't been used for a little while. We haven't seen anybody yet, and it's day 3. It was Friday lunchtime was the last time we saw humans, so we're not really looking forward to finding them again. Over the weekend we've been listening to the novel 2001: A Space Odyssey, looking up at the stars and wondering, are these things possible? So we've come to the conclusion that in this universe of wonder, anything's possible.